This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Grave Tone.
Welcome to Grave Tone Podcast, where horror comes to life in every form it takes. I'm Meaghan.
And I'm Arthur.
And we're talking about another zombie movie today.
Yes.
there have
more.
Been
more
multiple.
Zombies.
This
Give
is
it
like
to me.
our third zombie movie since the beginning of the year. It's a lot.
It's only the beginning.
Okay. I don't think, I'm pretty sure if you've listened to, I don't know, any previous episode, you're aware that Arthur has a predisposition towards the zombie subgenre in general.
Predisposition.
Yes.
Why do you make it sound like it's a condition?
I mean, you just have, I don't know how else to describe it. You have a love of this subgenre specifically.
Yes.
And everything that it kind of entails.
That is correct.
So, I don't.
It's okay. People can be wrong. That's fine.
No, that's not what that is. I don't. However, I do have a love of a book to film adaptation. So.
There you go.
So that kind of segues us into what we're talking about today, because we did just get home from the movie theater, and we saw a newly released zombie film called This Is Not a Test. Here, it was released on February 27th. I apparently in other places it was released on the 20th, so about a week ago. And
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I never know. Releases in different places are very strange to me, and I'm like, this is a Canadian production. Shouldn't have been released here first. Whatever.
You would think.
Distribution is weird, but anyway. Regardless, This Is Not a Test was just released in our neck of the woods on February 27th. It is based on a novel by a Canadian author named Courtney Summers, who largely writes in the YA genre, generally speaking. However, a lot of her stuff does lean very thriller horror to a degree. Not all of it, and not completely in every way, but she does have a tendency to lean in that specific direction. I know a lot of a couple of the other novels that she's more well known for are some of her slightly later ones, like Sadie, which I believe is from 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and The Project, which I want to say was 2021 or 2022, something along those lines.
Right.
That said, a lot of her stuff deals with younger characters, and she does delve into a lot of mental health issues, generally speaking, and trauma and things with her characters. It's something that you do see in this story that I would say is more prevalent in the book than you get in the movie. And it's a recurring theme for her. It's something that she does tend to touch on a pretty regular basis. Her stuff is a little bit on the heavier side.
Yeah, and the important thing is that you did read the book.
I did.
Yeah, and we watched the movie just now, so it's great because we can do a very good comparison and, talk through it as we always do.
Yeah, it's true. It does give us an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, exactly. This is a movie that is going on the quiz.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we may. Okay, sure. May as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm just saying, if you're not aware,
You're saying you liked it, is what
I'm
you're
saying I liked it,
Okay.
and therefore it is going on the horror movie picker
Got
quiz on the website, retonpod.com. There is a quiz. If you're not sure what to watch, it's all of our best picks. Just answer 4 simple questions, and it's there.
Yeah.
Super cool,
Gives
super
you
easy.
options. We're slowly but surely adding to it and optimizing
yeah.
and everything. So I think it's going to get better and better, but we've got a fun little base model of it right now, and you can go check that out. That's it on the website. And if you feel like just doing a random pick, if you're not sure what you feel like watching tonight, you can go check it out. And maybe it'll give you some ideas, Maybe you can go do that. Okay, shall I read the non-existent IMDb synopsis?
God, yes.
Like we do. Okay. Wow, this one's really lazy. The actual description verbatim is: follows Sloan and 4 other students who take shelter in their high school during a zombie outbreak. Do you love it? Is it really good?
This instantly reminded me of the scene from The Office of the birthday. It just says, it is your birthday.
Your birthday.
It's that.
It is a banner that says it is your birthday.
Yeah.
This is what the movie's about.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway.
The movie is better than this.
I mean,
If you're reading this on IMDb, just watch the movie because it is so much better. I mean, look, yes, that's obviously exactly what happens, but it is
yes,
better
than
this description.
Yeah, that does happen, but there's obviously more to it than that, and more to, like, other than this being like the skeleton of the premise of the story. There's a lot more.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
on.
Like, yeah, it's so. I like the fact that it's a zombie movie and everything, and I walked into it expecting zombies, which is great.
Well, you did
they
get
are
them.
there right from the beginning. So this movie does not wait, man. You have 2 minutes and you're getting fucking attacked. It's awesome. But also it is, like Meaghan just mentioned, because the author delves into more deeper, darker social issues, whatever it is. It also has that layer on top of it from the main character and other characters as well, which I think brought it that extra edge that I enjoyed a lot.
I guess it grounded it to a degree because it
Yeah.
didn't. You didn't get too lost in the zombie of it all, I suppose, because of the themes that it does tackle, which we'll get into it a little bit more when we get into some of the, like, spoilery plot points and stuff. But I find the book does delve a lot more into certain aspects of this
Makes sense. I
than
mean,
the
it's a
movie
book.
does. Yeah, that's the thing. You have more time and everything to be able to flesh that out. Even in the movie, like, having these aspects of things and having, like, the level of trauma explored, but also just the mental health issues and, like, depression and things like that particularly the lead character is experiencing, but was experiencing prior to this zombie outbreak as well, and so continues to struggle with. It grounds the story a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. And I forgot what I was going to say.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So, as you know, I love the zombie genre a lot.
God, we've only
And
said it like 5 times this episode.
Whatever.
so-
I only have a giant knife in my bedside table just in case that says zombie kill.
I feel like you need to stop advertising.
I should. Yeah. I mean, look, okay. It was a gift. Okay. It's more of like a prop than anything else.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Anyways, the whole thing with the zombie genre is that it almost always has to have a layer of some kind to it, and usually it is more on the human emotion side of things, and the
true.
human survival aspect of things. Because if you don't have that, it is just literally a movie about a meat grinder of people getting eaten
Yeah, no.
and attacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
it would
nothing
be
to it.
it would be like nothing.
My God, the cat's going crazy.
So you have to always have that extra little addition to it, I
Well,
guess.
you need characters that are experiencing something that doesn't necessarily only reflect the immediate circumstance of the
Exactly.
actual zombie apocalypse. There has to be more to these people than that because they existed as fully formed human beings before this whole thing kicked into gear, right? So, and you have to, it depends on what kind of zombie film you're in as well, like what kind of zombie story you're in. Are you in something like this that is taking you through the early stages, or
Yeah.
are we like years into this or months into this in some way, and have we like settled and adjusted and stuff, and that can have a different effect on the characters, I find,
Of course.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So did you like it? How much do you dig this movie?
Yeah. I didn't hate this.
Don't you dare.
I mean, so okay. So here's this is the thing, and we've again, like I literally just said it at the top of the episode. Like the zombie subgenre is not really my favorite because I find overall I've never been super into it in the first place. But it is, it has its tropes, and they're not necessarily some that I always enjoy all that much. It can be very trite when it's not trying very hard and stuff, and when it's well done. It's good, it's solid, but I never find myself like, it's very rare, I should say, that I'm watching a zombie film and I find myself like super, super immersed in what's going on. There's always an aspect of it for me that just takes me out of it a little bit. I don't know why. This is just almost always the case. like I said, I did actually read the book right at the beginning of this year because we had seen that the film was being released, and I wanted to take an opportunity to get to it before the movie came out. It's not always something that I can or am able to do, but oftentimes if I am able to do so, I kind of like to, just so I can get a good idea of what the base story is itself. And then kind of see, like, you know, how the adaptation turns out. So the interesting thing about this that I'll delve into a little bit more is that, like I said, the novel was originally released in 2012. And this version that I read was actually just a re-release in January of 2026.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because it
So I
also...
guess it did well if they were going to re-release it.
Yeah, and I think because of the upcoming film, they probably did a re-release as well,
Right.
because this version that I picked up does also contain an additional novella that was written after This Is Not a Test initially, which I think was an novella that was published in 2015 or 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Courtney Summers wrote this as a follow-up called Please Remain Calm. And that is a novella that exists at the end of this book, which is like a sequel novella, really. It picks up kind of immediately after the events of the original story. And in this case, it just has a different narrator. So the lead character, Sloane, is who we follow throughout pretty much the entire course of This Is Not a Test. And in Please Remain Calm, we do a little narrator swap, and she's still in it. But we do a little narrator swap, and we follow the character of Reese, who is one of the other prominently featured characters in the story.
Is that a whole kind of part of the book and the novella covered in the movie, or no? Oh.
No.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about it a little bit when we get into some of the other spoilery bits.
Let's get into it. I'm interested.
But yeah, but no, it's not. So it is something that picks up a little bit after. So that's something that we can talk about it a little bit more. I didn't, so I will say, maybe because I also have like more freshly read the book, so I was more aware of the themes, more aware of the plot beats, and maybe it was because of that I like noticed more of the not major changes, but definitely like some adjustments, some changes and things like that. You know, I guess I was kind of waiting for a little bit more and maybe hoping for a little bit more, and maybe because I had just read that novella, I was kind of hoping we'd get at least a little snippet of something, and we didn't. So like this was solid overall. I thought like they did a pretty decent job of adapting it. So I'm kind of middle of the road with it. I think I'm leaning somewhere around a 5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, what about you?
Nice. I like it. I liked it for a lot of other factors than the story itself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, kind of like I said, usually, and kind of like what you said as well, usually is that there is specific beats that I guess the zombie genre must hit and the tropes that exist within it. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff that much because it's just always present in those movies, you know. So I am looking at kind of like the other things, the characters, the zombie design, you know, the goriness of it. How is it paced? Is it kind of like, are you on the ground or in experiencing this craziness with the characters, or is it more a little bit removed and just kind of like watching things happen to them? You know what I mean? Which this movie was really in your face with that. First of all, the fact that it started very fast. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. You don't have to like fucking wait for things to happen, whatever. And then it is, like you said, it is in your face in the sense that you're right there from the beginning, from the first couple of hours, and you are in this fray with the characters and everything that's going on. And I really, really enjoyed and liked that part, because that one's, I find it's a little bit hard to do with everything, you know, just because it's so chaotic and so crazy, and there's like a lot of kind of things to think about, I guess, when this is done. So that's the aspect that I like about this movie. I like the characters who were, you know, made smart decisions. They were not fully prepared for this, which also makes sense because they're like supposed to be 16 years old or something like that. So good, but it wasn't also like dumb. Actually, you know, what they did was pretty smart and made a lot of sense for the most part. So all of those things, those are things that kind of like glue me more into the movie, because if I see some people doing stupid shit, I'm like, it's a zombie apocalypse, what are you doing? You know, that kind of takes me out. In this case, it didn't take me out of the movie that much for the most part, right? So I'm a little bit higher than you. I would say I'm like at least a 6.5.
Okay.
Not too much. But yeah, definitely like a 6.5 for sure.
I mean, I think I could tell when we were watching it just from like the pacing of it and stuff that I was like, no, this is gonna be higher for you than it is for me for sure, because it hits that level of excitement that you enjoy when you're watching a movie like this. Exactly. All right, let's get into the spoilers. Let's get into the things so that we can talk about favorites. We can talk about characters. We can talk about stuff.
You've been warned. Spoilers ahead.
So, quick rundown of our main characters. There are not very many in the movie, to be fair.
I mean, no.
Like, it largely follows the same group of
people.
people.
It is set in a very small town.
Very much, yes. So, as I mentioned, our main character's name is Sloane. She's played by Olivia Holt. Horror folks will recognize Olivia Holt from starring in Hard Eyes last year.
Yeah.
She played the lead in that film. She is joined by Froy Gutierrez, who plays the character of Reese, who's also one of like the more major characters. We also have Corteon Moore, who plays the character of Carrie, who's a slightly older former student, actually. I don't think he's in the high school anymore, in the book anyway, who's sort of the de facto leader of the group to a degree.
Right.
And then we have siblings, Trace and Grace. I think in the book they're twins, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those names make sense.
That's it, played by Carson MacCormac and Chloe Avakian. So these are all the characters who just through happenstance find themselves together. Sloane at the beginning, of course, when the apocalypse kicks off in this small town. It's set in a small town called Cortege in the book, which is in northern Ontario.
In 1998.
Yes. From what I remember, the book is sort of ambiguous. It could kind of be any time. Like, it's not really obvious necessarily what year it's supposed to be. I don't remember it being set solidly in the 90s, but I could see it easily doing that in the movie, no problem. When everything kicks off in their town and Sloane finds that she has to run off, basically, or avoid being killed because her father's being actively attacked by a zombie that breaks into the house. She finds herself out on the street and comes into contact with this other group, essentially, of students who she knows from school, like, not super well, but she does know them. They decide to kind of band together, and they wind up making their way to the school.
By the way, the worst, but also a good decision, but also bad.
Yeah.
At the beginning of a zombie apocalypse, you don't go outside into the street where all the chaos
but
is.
also everybody's trying to get out of their houses because people are breaking in, right? Like, they've all had circumstances in which that sort of happened. Like, we find out that that's the case for Reese. His parents were attacked.
Well, yeah, everyone was attacked.
And bitten and stuff, and so turned, and he had no choice but to kill them. Carrie, we don't really know as much about, but in the book, his parents, like, hate him and are shitty to him, so it's not really a thing. I mean, Sloane, as we do see in the movie, but also in the novel, is abused by her father. He sucks. He's an alcoholic, from what I recall. And so that's not like a good relationship anyway. And her sister, Lily, who she was very close to, in the last, I want to say maybe couple of months, like not very long, did kind of run off. Essentially, she's decided to take off on her own. And,
So what happened in the movie so far?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So that's it. They do meet up in the book, actually, when they meet up with Carrie and Reese and then with Trace and Grace. Their mom is with them as well. The twins, their mom's with them. In the book, actually, both of their parents are with them. They're both.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like the one group of adults that exists in this for like a short period of time. We're given all of this through flashbacks in the book. I can see why they would have done this in this order in the film, because they wanted to give you a clearer picture of how did we get to the school, how did we get here. In the novel, we start in the school right away.
Right,
and then you're
okay.
treated to small flashbacks of what happened throughout the course of the story. But I can understand why they wouldn't have wanted to do that for narrative purposes. It's just easier to kind of like stick it there so you can see how we got here in the first place. There's a similar circumstance in which I believe in the book the characters are trying to make their way to the school, and when they're doing so, in the book I believe it's like an alleyway that Carrie's looking into that he says is clear, And the parents are the ones who step in first and unfortunately are basically immediately surrounded because zombies kind of seemingly appear out of nowhere, basically.
Sneaky zombies, the
Yeah.
worst kind.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's ambiguous for quite a long period of time in the novel as to whether or not they're actually dead. We don't know. Which again is a little more true to life because the kids all take off, obviously, because what else are they supposed to do? So they take off. Yeah.
If you're swarmed and you
I
don't have
know.
anything to defend yourself, you're pretty much done for.
Yeah, so they do take off. Anyway, they do take off, and we don't. So I think the deaths are not like on page. Like we don't see them. None of the characters witness it, which is particularly a sticking point for Trace because he really, it's his one. It's his one level of hope that he clings to that his parents are not dead. And so he maintains throughout most of his time in the story that, like, no, he's sure that they might have gotten away. Like, we don't know for sure. They might have gotten away. They're probably okay. And he kind of refuses to hear otherwise from anybody else. It's like a big sticking point for him.
That it sounds like it doesn't play much to the story, so.
Yes and no, because it's part of what continues to cause the tension between him and Carrie.
Oh, okay.
Because since Carrie was the lookout, he does, like he does in the movie, he does blame him for not having seen, allegedly, the zombies that were in the alleyway.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So that is something that comes back, like, over and over and over again. I found the tension in the book was a lot higher between the two of them.
I mean, yeah, because they can keep doing it.
Yeah,
in the movie,
that's
he was
it.
like upset at him once and they fought and then it was never spoken of again.
Yeah, because we just
Which-
don't have time.
Well, you don't have time, but also, like, I don't need to see this happen 4 times.
No,
I get it.
I know. It's just like I did find that it was kind of like the tension was lacking a little bit in the movie, and I was like, no, oh well.
It's like an hour and a half.
I know. I know. But this is what happens, and maybe that's why sometimes you're like, I probably shouldn't have read the book before, but here we are. So
It's better to read the book before.
anyway, yeah. So that's basically what happens. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of shit that happens while they're at the school. One, like, I guess, major incident is what takes place when they realize that someone else is actually in the building as well. This person turns out to be their former English teacher, Mr. Baxter,
Teachers in the building.
who seems to have found his way into the school. And I will say also in the novel, will not tell them how he got in.
Okay, see, that really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what does it matter? You are, first of all, already in. Why are you trying to make this weird, mysterious thing of not telling them?
He doesn't want them to find the body in the basement because he doesn't want them to know that he might be bitten and infected. Because
Okay.
he knows what will happen if they do know that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's because they don't follow the rules.
I know. Actually,
The kids, I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in the scenes. Not the scenes in the school with Mr. Baxter, but after they kick him out when they find a bite mark on him. He does actually. He doesn't turn in the school, but when they shove him outside, he actually does turn.
No, okay.
From what I recall, there's no like ambiguous like, oh no, he wasn't, but of course now that he has been bitten and now he's no like he's yeah, he does start to turn
Yeah,
on
okay.
his own outside.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, again, follow the rules. If there is someone who sneaks into your camp or whatever it is, or it's a new person, you freaking basically strip them down and check for bite marks. I mean, that's just common
It's
sense.
just common sense in a zombie
It
apocalypse.
is common sense.
All right, shall we do like 3 favorites? Do we want to get into stuff with that?
Yes.
Okay, you tell me what your first favorite was then.
That is our format.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I think really brings this movie to a higher rating, at least for me,
Yeah.
specifically, it's kind of like I mentioned, is the fact that it is very raw in your face and like you are in the middle of the action, things are happening. You know what I mean? Zombies are fast, and you are there trying to survive with the other characters. You know what I mean? It's really fast paced. There's something always going on. There's not like, too much kind of like downtime in general. So that's kind of like one of the first things that I really enjoyed is that it is quick, it is fast. It reminded me a lot of the 28 Days Later.
The first one?
Yeah. Because the zombies, like, they're newly turned everyone still has their limbs and they're not decomposing like in The Walking Dead.
No, that's
so
true.
they're quick, man, and they're scary. Like they're scary. So that brings that extra edge to the movie that I really liked.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think my first favorite was probably overall the performances. I found that the cast was like very committed and were quite strong with regards to their characters. That's it. Some of the only things, like I said, that I found maybe that I was like, oh, I wish there was more tension or this or that. I think that's more of a writing thing and a time thing. There's not time to a degree to build up certain other aspects of the story. Like relationships between certain characters and things like that you're not really able to flesh out as much. There's an entire sort of sub thing in the novel in which Sloane finds out from Carrie that he used to hang out with her sister Lily before she ran away.
Okay.
And they would fool around, it turns out. And he wasn't like in love with her or anything. And that's something that comes up with the whole like never have I ever been in love thing, where she's like, oh, you weren't in love with Lily, and he's like, no, like he cared about her, he liked her, but it also turns out that he feels a level of guilt because he sees how much Sloane is suffering with not knowing where her sister is, especially in the midst of all of this. And it turns out that Lily, before she ran off, she told him she was leaving, but she did not tell Sloane that she was going. Okay. Yeah, the stuff in the movie about her like warning her and stuff, like she does not do that. She literally just leaves and doesn't say anything at all, and it's much more difficult for Sloane to deal with in the book because she has no
that's
idea.
worse
Very much.
than finding out and telling her or her warning you, whatever it is. Because Sloane kind of in the movie, she did say that like, I know that you are leaving, so
no, yeah,
she
that's
didn't
it.
tell her.
Yeah, no, she
found out.
She does not know in the book at
That's
all.
it.
And
Damn.
that's it. Her sister just like dips, and she's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Well, yeah.
so she's left with their horrible piece of shit dad. To deal with it on her own, basically. So yeah, so there's like a level of stuff to do with that, and then the physical relationship that develops briefly between Carrie and Grace is not I found in the movie they gave it a little bit of a cutesier kind of element to it, where they did kind of like each other to a degree.
Barely. That was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, but there was actually like a slight element of like flirtiness to an extent and stuff. In the book, it's not even that. In the book, it's like, this is a warm body and I need something to distract me from what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's very obvious that like that's what it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even after, you can tell, especially Grace is just like, oh God, I don't know why I did that. Anyway, yeah. So it's a little bit, I would say it's a little bit more like that. You get a little bit more of the, I guess, like romantic subplot is really between Sloane and Reese. That's more where that develops in a slightly more genuine way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did find overall that the performances were quite good. I found overall like the cast worked well together. And I actually really liked Luke McFarlane, who played Mr. Baxter. I thought he carried that whole element of things quite well also.
Yeah, no, he was like scared and weird at the same time. And didn't want to die and everything. So it was really well done.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty strong that way. So yeah, that was good.
Okay, fair enough. Number 2 for me, I would say it is. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying in terms of performances, but not necessarily the performances. I would say it's probably more the writing of these characters. Sorry, the cat's going crazy in the background. I don't know. He's pretending to be a zombie.
The number of times that we've said that, I don't know what
all
it
the
is.
time, like every episode almost.
There's
Jesus
something,
Christ.
it's like we come out, we sit down to record, we come home, it's late at night, and he just like goes on a tear. I don't know.
It's like we're not doing anything. We're just calmly sitting here. But
I know.
It's too calm for him. Anyways, whatever. Right. So I guess it goes kind of like what you were saying with, I don't know if it's the acting. It's probably the writing, of the characters. But the fact that I lost my train of thought with this cat. God damn it. So the fact that the way that they are reacting and the things that they are doing in the movie, based on the fact that they are young, so they're not kind of like really experienced with general life and stuff.
25-year-old teenagers in our movie.
Well, yeah, fine, whatever. They're supposed to be like 16 or something in the movie. What they're doing, it's well adapted to kind of like what their age is, and the fact that they're they're not sure exactly what to do, but they're trying to do the best they can, obviously. But they're also making smart decisions for most of the time, which is good. So like I was saying, like that, I find is very good because it didn't take me away from the movie and what they were doing. Because every time I see someone doing something really dumb, like I mentioned, it just takes me out. And I'm like, oh god damn it, here we go. There's gonna be a dumb scene. Someone's gonna die needlessly because this person decided to crack a window because they fucking hot or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and zombies get into the whole house. So that was not for the majority of the cases, the case in this movie, which I appreciated.
That's true. That's fair. I think my second thing was probably, this is something that I liked, I overall liked in the book, but it's also something that I find I liked in the film as well, and I guess in the film too, because you're able to really see it, the sort of like small town setting and the level of isolation that kind of causes in general with the characters. Like it felt like a town that was like very standard, very down to earth. There were no frills about it. It looked very normal. There was nothing that felt like polished about it in any capacity. I checked, it was filmed in Hamilton in Ontario.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the book is set in Ontario. So
well, there you go. The book is set in Ontario. The director, Adam
McDonald,
McDonald,
I think?
he's born in Montreal, currently lives in Toronto or something.
Toronto,
so like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's it.
All of this carries together.
Very, very Canadian, everybody. So I don't know what it is. I always find that when I'm watching some sort of like apocalyptic something, it's not that I dislike the stories that are set in a larger city, but there's something about the small town setting that I find creates that level of isolation that I find interesting to watch. So I always prefer that. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I have a tendency to prefer something like that.
Okay. I mean, you know what? It makes sense. I feel like if you do set it in a big city or whatever it is, it just becomes so crazy and chaotic that sometimes it almost doesn't work that well. You know, you don't get that intimacy with the characters, essentially, just because there's so much going on. Everything's chaotic and crazy and everyone's dying left and right, and it's just mental.
We know how it's like. What am I thinking of as like an example? It's something like A Quiet Place, for instance. I think I would have liked that story less if we had started them
with the second movie
in the third film.
Oh, the third film,
with the city, like with
That's
day
it.
one in the city versus the smaller area that the characters exist in for the first two films.
Yeah, that's it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it. For me, it's the interesting way that because of the kind of like, you know, we should touch on this, is the mental health issues that the main character Sloane is experiencing.
Yeah, I feel like we should mention, obviously, and again, if you do read the book, it's much more prevalent in the book.
Makes sense.
But she is dealing with a lot of like suicidal ideations and thoughts, unfortunately, due to her circumstances. Like I said, prior to this apocalypse kicking off, this is something that she's already struggling with because of Lily leaving and because of her circumstances at home. It's already something she's considering, to the point that in the book there are multiple times in which she considers, and a couple of times basically almost does, just go outside. Because she's like, I can't deal with this at this point. So she does basically, at one point she does go outside, and Reese just happens to save her kind of in the nick of time, because she does go out fully. So
that's it. So in the movie, the way that they touched on it a little bit, but it wasn't too heavy-handed, which I appreciated. But also, they've kind of created the juxtaposition of what she's dealing with and what is happening in the world, in the current world, the whole beginning of the zombie apocalypse, you know, and people are like screaming at each other because they're fighting, because they cannot agree on a decision or who the leader is and whatever it is. And a lot of those times she kind of just like walks out of the room because she's like, I'm not dealing with this.
Like, oh,
but it is, I thought it was a very smart way of kind of like juxtaposing this with what she's dealt with, because when she was at home and her dad was abusive and everything, she literally couldn't leave, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like she's attached or imprisoned by the fact that either he's, you know, violently holding her, or it's the only place that she can literally be because she's a minor and it's a house, right? So, and it's very similar to what they've done in the movie, but there she's actually able to escape, and it helps her, you know, kind of like overcome some of these things, I would say. which I thought that was very, very interesting. And throughout the movie, you don't really see it, but as kind of like things progress and the story happens, she is starting to get over. I mean, I don't want to say get over her mental issues. Obviously, that takes a little bit longer than a couple of days, but it's starting to get better for her, essentially, despite the fact that this craziness in the world is happening. So that's kind of like little arc. I really appreciated that a lot.
Well, that's good. And it's good that you felt that way because the tone in the movie, I would say, definitely has
it's a happier tone.
It has a more hopeful tone.
That's what I thought you would say.
To the general story and the ending that way. I found that I was almost glad when I was reading the book to immediately have Please Remain Calm right after this because the ending felt much more nihilistic than this to me. That it does end much in the same way with them driving off and trying to leave the town. And there's a visual where there's, I think, a young girl who's been turned into a zombie who's like in the middle of the road type of thing. And Reese is like trying to get Sloane's attention and stuff to get them to get going properly. And she just kind of like stares at her and they like stare at each other through the car window kind of thing. And it really just, it ends like pretty abruptly that way. And there's definitely less resolution to a degree.
There's no whole like where they're going to the safe space.
No, there is all of that is there. It's just that the feeling of it is, when you read it, the feeling of it is much less positive than in the movie. The movie with her throwing away her suicide note and things like that is largely trying to give you the impression, to your point, that she is working through this, or she's trying to find a reason to stick around and stuff. Basically, that's not that you don't get that in the book.
Right.
It's just sort of like on to the next and maybe we'll see kind of thing. It's actually through Please Remain Calm that you see that she is actually starting to work through some of this. And
so they did tie it in somehow
maybe they did that to an extent, again, because they weren't really touching on that part of the story in this. So
that's it. Okay, so they did tie it in a way. Okay, cool. What's your last one?
I have to say, I think my last one, again, because it wasn't as obvious in the book, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Courtney Summers did set it at a particular time, but it didn't feel that way, was the 90s of it all. Which was just like a fun little surprise. I was like, oh, look at that. It was just like, because of like the wardrobe and like a couple of the songs and stuff. And when
there's some songs that were great.
Yeah, they're fun.
I gotta Spotify this.
And there were a couple of times like when we see in flashbacks, we see like Lily's character and she's got one of those like cute little plastic chokers on. I was like, oh, I remember those and stuff. And it just made me a little bit like, oh yeah, I remember all this kind of thing. So yeah, I think the 90s of it all was just kind of like a fun thing. And it makes it easy to, as usual, it makes it easy in horror to either take away people's ability to access technology or to set it at a particular time where they wouldn't have had easy access to a lot of technology. You just do that and it helps to isolate your characters more. So
that's true. You know what actually this worked really well for is when she has her little phone.
Her Nokia phone.
Her basically Nokia phone with like even the little antenna still poking out, so it's not even kind of like the Nokia brick that everyone's picturing in their head right now. And she drops it because whatever, there's something that scares her. And literally 2 days later passes. And then she finds the phone and it's not cracked and the battery's not dead. And I'm like, shit, that's fucking smart.
Like, damn, okay.
Yeah, that's what, the old 90s phones were good for, is that they don't break and the battery basically never dies. Now you leave your phone discharged for a day and you're like at 10% and you can't do shit.
Oh, yeah, you can't do anything. Yeah. You're like, oh, fuck, yeah, my phone's going to die. That's not good because it's doing so much shit in the background.
It's literally a computer.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, wrap it up like I said. There were... like overall, I would say many of the plot beats were very much the same. I did notice that Courtney Summers was an executive producer on the film, so I'm sure that her input kind of came into play that way
makes
too,
sense.
which makes sense. So yeah, I would say that there were like a fair number of similarities, and some of the open-endedness of certain aspects of things does work well. Like there is a similarity to the book as in the film where Carrie does take off in a different direction. We literally never know what happens to him.
Oh fuck, okay.
Maybe he makes it somewhere, maybe he doesn't. We do not know. And it's ambiguous, and that kind of does make sense. How the fuck would they know? How would they find out? We don't know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
That makes sense. I was not upset about that.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
No. It just, I was like, yeah,
He's a good character, but it just makes sense.
But it just makes sense,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
it? Like, how the hell would you find out what happened to him? You wouldn't know. So, yeah, we never find out what happens to him.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, so I didn't, like I said, that's it. I think just because I was like aware of more of aspects of the story.
Right.
All right. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. It was pretty
Sounds like
solid.
you gave it a 2.
No. That's
Oh,
it.
that's
It
a
was
very good
pretty
score.
It was pretty solid overall. Like, it was a pretty solid adaptation for what they could do with the time that they had for it. And there were like a number of aspects of it that were pretty decent. So it was like, the middle of things for me.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, look, what's its IMDb's at a 5.8.
Yeah.
And then Rotten Tomatoes is, let me get the real audience score. Not there yet. So
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
yeah,
it's because there's just not enough people who have reviewed it yet.
I know.
So,
So
yeah.
anyways,
This gave us a chance to cover some Canadian content.
yeah.
Woo! And this is I think this might be one of the first times that we've done like an adaptation that, like, I've read the book. Like, one of us has read the book and we can do like a full comparison at the same time as we're talking about.
No, that's
movie.
great.
Yeah,
That's
we've
so
not been
much
able to do that yet.
More layers to this. So.
Yeah, so that's fun. Hopefully we can do more of it as time goes on too. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to put out even like a bonus maybe in the next few
Yeah.
days.
There's going to be a couple of bonuses
Yeah.
because we had, as we mentioned previously, an interview with Mark
Atchison.
who is in all the movies. He had a crazy,
Yeah.
long-standing career. He was in Elf. He was in Silent Night, Deadly Night, the newest one that came out in December.
December.
Said it like 5 times.
You're all right.
We also had an interview with Eric Miller,
Yeah.
who is an author now with a newly published book called
Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed.
Yeah,
which
and
was
then he
published last
also
year.
has an anthology series that is literally nominated for the Bram Stoker Award.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is also called.
Hell Comes to Hollywood.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm not good with.
As well as screenwriter.
Yeah, he's a screenwriter. He did a little bit of producing. He did a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes, like literally basically any position that exists. So,
Yeah.
anyways, he's been in the cinema world for the longest time. Super cool conversation, very interesting. Like
What
a
an
lot of
interesting guy to chat with.
behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff that he gave us. Definitely, like, don't miss that one out.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to be, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be putting both of those out. But I'm thinking between now and the next few days, we'll probably be dropping our episode with Mark Atchison so that everybody can kind of get a listen to that. That would be great. So we're going to do that
Yeah,
soon.
and we also have we're trying to get it set up, okay? But we are trying to get a screening of Wetiko
Oh, yes.
with
yes.
W, so it's WETIKO, and with the director of it, which is a very interesting psychedelic jungle thriller
Yeah.
type of thing, which is literally in Spanish and Mayan with English subs.
I know, I love
so
that.
it really kind of like really throws you into the movie. So there's also something to look out for in that direction.
We're going to be doing a review of that, and really, 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 fingers crossed, we're going to be able to get an interview with the writer-director, I believe,
Yeah.
for that one. So I think we're looking forward to doing that too. Hooray.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff coming up in March, because March is ridiculous, because next week we're getting The Bride that comes out. Following week, Undertone
Oh,
comes
so
out,
excited.
which looks really interesting and has been getting like a shit ton of hype. So I think we're really looking forward to that one. Ready or Not, Here I Come. We've got it's a crazy. It's nuts. It never ends.
It's going to be nonstop.
It's gonna be nonstop.
Love it.
So I think we're gonna have like a ton of content in March, which is gonna be super fun. We also just recorded an episode with Halloween is Forever.
Yeah.
Another podcast. We did an episode with them, and we got to talk about Larry Fessenden films. So that's going to be
We had a
dropping.
fest.
A fest.
As Steve said it. That was great.
Steve called it. So that was fun. So we got to do like a kind of head of 3 different Larry Fessenden films. So that was like a really interesting thing to do. And that episode's going to be coming out on Halloween is Forever within the next few days, I believe, from the time that this drops, if I'm not mistaken. I think Steve was saying like Monday. So soon.
Yeah, they try to do it in the first week of March, so
Yeah.
something like that.
So yeah, so that'll be dropping soon as well. So yeah, oh my God, stuff everywhere. So exciting. We get to talk to all kinds of fun people.
I know, it's so
I really
so
like
fucking
it.
awesome.
So yeah, you can keep following us on all of our socials at Gravetone Pod. We are on every social media platform. You can follow us there and check out as we have all of these updates, as we have all of this fun stuff dropping. We're going to be letting you know. So
That's
that'll be
right.
great. Yeah. But in the meantime, guys, stay scared and stay tuned.
Ciao, guys.